Don't take this case.
I'm trying to save your life, Nelson.
I am trying to save yours, bro.
Welcome to Biltong in Movies, the channel where we celebrate the best of South African cinema. If you love South African films as much as we do, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a like, because we have plenty more premium South African content coming your way. Today, we are ranking the actors who have taken on one of the most challenging roles in cinema, Nelson Mandela. Many incredible actors have portrayed the father of our nation, but who did it best? Each actor brought their own interpretation of Madiba, some with deep emotional nuance, others focusing on his political brilliance. We'll break it all down, celebrating each performance for its strengths while giving you the context behind the films. So, let's get started.
If you are arrested, it will change your life.
Number 10. David Harewood in Mrs. Mandela, 2010. David Harewood's portrayal of Nelson Mandela was part of the BBC drama Mrs. Mandela, which focused more on Winnie Mandela's life and struggles. This meant Harewood's role was somewhat limited, but his performance was praised for its authenticity. According to the BBC, Harewood immersed himself in research so deeply that his characterization was almost eerily accurate. His depiction of Mandela was not just a supporting role to Sophie Okonedo's Winnie, but a crucial piece of the story's emotional depth. However, Mrs. Mandela was not without controversy. Some viewers and critics debated whether it did justice to Winnie Mandela's story, as it portrayed her as both a political force and a deeply troubled individual. Despite this, Harewood's performance added gravitas to the series, showing Mandela as a devoted husband and leader even as political turmoil pulled him away from his family.
My name is Nelson Mandela.
Number 9. Tumisho Masha in Mandela's Gun, 2016. Tumisho Masha made history as the first South African actor to play Nelson Mandela in a feature film, and his performance in Mandela's Gun was unique because it focused on a younger, more radical Mandela. This film explored the lesser-known period when Mandela was training as a guerrilla fighter before his arrest. Unlike many other portrayals, this was not about the elder statesman but about the fiery revolutionary. Masha's physical resemblance to a young Mandela was striking, and Spling Movie Review noted that at certain angles, he looked almost indistinguishable from the real Mandela. The film, however, had a limited release, and despite Masha's strong performance, it didn't receive the widespread recognition of some other Mandela films. Still, it was a landmark moment for South African cinema to have a local actor step into this iconic role.
I will not leave South Africa, nor will I surrender.
Number 8. Danny Glover in Mandela, 1987. Danny Glover was one of the first internationally recognized actors to portray Mandela, starring in this 1987 TV movie. At the time, apartheid was still in effect, and playing Mandela was not just a role but a political statement. Glover's performance was raw and passionate, capturing Mandela's strength as a leader. However, as The Guardian's Peter Bradshaw noted, Glover's portrayal focused heavily on Mandela's activism but didn't fully explore his complex political strategy. This was partly due to the film's time constraints and the fact that Mandela's story was still unfolding. Despite this, Glover's Mandela was powerful and helped bring international attention to the anti-apartheid struggle.
Only when we can participate in a truly democratic process will our armed struggle become obsolete.
Number 7. Clarke Peters in Endgame, 2009. Clarke Peters' portrayal of Mandela in Endgame was one of the most politically astute performances. The film, which focuses on the secret negotiations that led to the end of apartheid, required a Mandela who was more of a strategist than a revolutionary. Peters delivered exactly that, playing Mandela as a calculated, patient leader who understood the long game of politics. Critics, including The Guardian's Peter Bradshaw, praised Peters for making Mandela feel real, showing not just his warmth but his sharp political instincts. Unlike some portrayals that focus on Mandela's moral authority, this one emphasized his ability to negotiate, compromise, and outmaneuver his opponents.
Would you agree that the purpose of the ANC is to overthrow the government?
No, the purpose is to reform the government.
Number 6. Laurence Fishburne in Madiba, 2017. Laurence Fishburne's performance in Madiba was part of a 6-hour miniseries, allowing him to explore Mandela's life in greater depth than most other portrayals. This format gave him time to develop Mandela from a young activist to a world leader, rather than condensing his journey into 2 hours. Fishburne's performance was well received, with The Guardian's Laurence Bouquet stating that his portrayal still holds up as one of the more convincing versions of Mandela. The series itself was praised for its detailed storytelling, though some viewers felt Fishburne's American accent occasionally slipped through. Despite that, his gravitas and intensity made him a standout Madiba.
Those in power deny your freedom. The only path to freedom is power.
Number 5. Dennis Haysbert in Goodbye Bafana, 2007. Dennis Haysbert's Mandela was unique because Goodbye Bafana told the story from the perspective of his prison guard, James Gregory. This meant we saw Mandela through the eyes of someone who initially viewed him as a threat but later grew to respect him. Bradshaw noted that Haysbert brought a bit more edge to his portrayal, making Mandela feel less like a saint and more like a determined, strategic leader. The film itself received mixed reviews, with some critics questioning its perspective, but Haysbert's performance stood out as one of the film's strongest elements.
Get your hand off my wife!
Number 4. Terrence Howard in Winnie Mandela, 2011. Terrence Howard's casting as Mandela was met with controversy. Many South Africans were puzzled by the decision to cast an American actor in the role, especially one with no prior connection to South Africa. Howard himself admitted he struggled with the accent, but he approached the role with deep respect. Despite the initial skepticism, Howard's performance was widely praised for its emotional honesty. He captured Mandela's love for Winnie as well as the immense burden of his political role. However, the film itself faced backlash, with Winnie Mandela herself expressing disappointment in how she was portrayed.
Every day, the cells of your jails grow more and more crowded with angry and defiant young men.
Number 3. Sidney Poitier in Mandela and Clarke, 1997. Sidney Poitier's portrayal of Mandela was highly respected, and the New York Times called it one of the greatest roles of his career. Unlike other films, Mandela and Clarke focused on Mandela's negotiations with F.W. de Klerk, showing the delicate balance of power. Poitier's Mandela was deeply charismatic, portraying both his resilience and his wisdom. The film was praised for its historical accuracy, and Poitier's performance remains one of the most dignified portrayals of Mandela ever filmed.
Brothers, sisters, this is the time to build our nation.
Number 2. Morgan Freeman in Invictus, 2009. Morgan Freeman was a natural choice to play Mandela, and Invictus focused on his efforts to unite South Africa through the 1995 Rugby World Cup. Freeman captured Mandela's charm, strategic thinking, and leadership. Bill Keller of the New York Times praised Freeman for embodying the many layers of Mandela's personality, from his warm grandfatherly nature to his steely determination. While the film itself was more about sports than politics, Freeman's performance remains one of the most celebrated.
I have cherished the ideal of a free society. It is an ideal for which I am prepared to die.
Number 1. Idris Elba in Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom, 2013. Idris Elba's performance in Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom was arguably the most ambitious. Unlike other portrayals that focused on a specific period, Elba had to portray Mandela's entire journey, from rural shepherd to prisoner to president. Claudia Puig of USA Today praised Elba for his commanding presence, saying his performance gave Mandela the depth and complexity he deserved. Though some felt the film tried to cover too much ground, Elba's portrayal remains one of the most powerful and well-rounded.
If I can use my story to shine a spotlight on your protest march, maybe the world's press will come here.
And that's our ranking. Do you agree with our list, or do you have a different favorite Mandela performance? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this, make sure to like, subscribe, and check out our top 10 movies about apartheid and top 10 iconic South African movies. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.